Brother Umar, there's one thing. There's one pet peeve. I have many pet peeves.
Sure.
The government is now, and I hate drugs. Drugs and alcohol to me, it's because it does something to the person.
Yes, it does.
It eradicates who they are. But now the government is stepping into it, and I'm not just talking about medicinal to those who may have a physical ailment or whatever and need them. I'm talking about now they're contemplating, in some places already legislated, approving recreational drugs. To keep us inebriated.
I do not support the marijuana recreation movement. I'm going to tell you why. We know that cigarettes and alcohol kill more people every year than marijuana and hard drugs. More people die from cigarettes and alcohol than marijuana and hard drugs. We know that. I don't have a problem with marijuana use for medicinal purposes. Somebody got cancer, somebody got some other issue, and the marijuana, eases the pain. I have no problem. I'm not speaking of medicinal. I'm speaking of recreation. And my objection has nothing to do with health, not physical health. It has to do with mental health and political health. The last thing you need to give an oppressed, lazy ass people is another distraction to keep their ass oppressed and lazy. So you got black folks, we ain't got no schools, we ain't got no hospitals, we ain't got no banks, we ain't got no supermarkets, we ain't got no ships, we ain't got no distribution, we ain't got no factories, we ain't got no common sense. And on top of all that, you're going to give us the right to smoke weed all day long? We will never get to where we need to be if you give us recreational drugs. It is a political sedative. In slavery, the master made us go to church on Sunday. He didn't care about Jesus. But in church, they made you sing. In church, they made you clap. In church, they made you pray. In church, they made you dance. Do you know what the master was doing? He was making sure he exhausted all your revolutionary energy. So by the time you had to go back to the plantation Monday morning, you was happy again. He had to get that revolution out of you. He made you drink. You was made to get drunk during slavery to kill your revolutionary fervor. This recreation marijuana movement is a movement to kill the revolutionary passion of young blacks by hooking a whole generation on dirty marijuana. And the reason I say dirty marijuana, you ain't going to sit here and tell me that the United States government doesn't have a plan to taint the drugs that come into the black community so that it affects black men's reproduction and affects black women's reproduction and causes cancer and everything else. If you think the food is killing us, wait 20 years from now when you start seeing the aftershocks of what the marijuana going to do to us. This is part of a bigger plan that ain't got nothing to do with you being happy and high.
And another thing, and you wrote a book too on this topic, a very extensive book concerning the medication of our children in schools. And this, many parents buy into it.
Oh, yeah. Lord have mercy.
What could you say about
Let me
that?
break it down. Lord have mercy. ADD, Attention Deficit Disorder, was created out of thin air by the American Psychiatric Association in 1980. Same year, the CIA dropped off crack. This diagnosis was used almost exclusively on boys. Almost exclusively at schools where they're being taught almost exclusively by white women. But guess what? There's no drug that can make you pay attention. So in 1987, they took ADD and put an H between the two D's. And it went from attention deficit disorder to attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Why did they add the H? They added the H because there's no drug that can make you pay attention. Ritalin can't make you pay attention. Adderall can't make you pay attention. Concerta can't make you pay attention. Metadate can't make you pay attention. No drug can force you to learn about Christopher Columbus, Ellen Keller, or Anne Frank. Okay? So they said, we're going to make everybody hyper because the drugs only do one thing: disrupt natural brain activity to calm down the central nervous system. So today, If your child just don't pay attention, he ain't hyper, he just don't pay attention, he still gets labeled ADHD to justify the medication, a $30 billion industry, all of which companies are publicly traded on Wall Street. Listen, there is no mental health in America. There's no mental health. There's only mental hustling in America. They make up labels because the labels equal money and it equals stock return for their investors. Here's the question I got for white America. If drugs are bad and you're locking up millions of black men for selling and using crack, if it ain't good for adults, I'm assuming it ain't good for children. So why is it that you will lock up a black man 5, 10, 15, 20 years for selling crack, but you will take the same crack that sent his father to prison and you will give it to his son right here in the public schools of Philadelphia and call that crack Ritalin, call that crack Adderall, call that crack Concerta, call that crack Metadate, call that crack Cycler, and give it to the boy whose daddy got locked up for selling it, but you'll give it to his son so he can sit still long enough to be miseducated by lazy-ass white teachers who don't give a damn about whether your son learns or not. That's why I titled my book, Psychoacademic Holocaust. This is an extermination.
And parents are being made to buy into or being seduced.
They're being seduced. I love that word. There you go. They're being seduced. Because when you go to the school about your child, they're not going to tell you that Ritalin kills the brain cells. They're not going to tell you that Metadate will mess with your son psychologically. He might start hallucinating. They're not going to tell you that these drugs mess with your organs, stunt your growth, cause tic disorder, psychosis, depression, suicidal thoughts. They're not going to tell you none of that. Well, we have some medicine for you. It has worked wonders for other boys in our school. And the mother, single, 4 kids, 3 kids. Most black kids are raised by the mother. Not because fathers are no good, but because all the fathers are in jail. And the white feminist movement has convinced black women that the black man is her problem.